Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deidre Elam, and I am the Griffin High School Parent Liaison, and I would like to welcome you to our Let's Talk About It stakeholders meeting. During this meeting, we will be discussing our school parent compact, our school parent and family engagement policy. We will be revising those two documents, as well as talking about how we will be spending our upcoming Title I funds, and we will get input from you on how we will use those funds, as well as discuss upcoming trainings for the next school year for our staff, which is called Building Staff Capacity. Again, I'm your meeting facilitator. I am Deidre Elam, the parent liaison for Griffin High School, and I'm also the graduation coach. Just to explain to you what a school parent compact is, it is a jointly developed document that outlines how parents, the entire school staff, and our students will share their responsibility of ensuring that our students will be academically successful. In our school parent compact, we share different ways that we will partner with our families, the manner in which we will communicate, as well as how our school parent compact is developed and is done jointly. The development of our school parent compact happens through the input of our families, and we hold stakeholders meeting to get the input once a year. You are always welcome to provide input when it comes to our school parent compact, and this is welcome at any time. Just to highlight parts of our school parent compact, as you can see, there are two district goals, and 3 school goals. We will go through the data regarding how we came up with our current school goals, and we will talk about how we will be utilizing data to determine what goals we're going to focus on next year. Also, it shows you our shared responsibility section, which includes our teachers, parents, and students. And through this, together, we can help our students to achieve academic success. And I like to call this section of the school parent compact our triangle. And as you can see, it basically just highlights what we each will do to assist and work with our students. It also outlines activities that our parents and guardians can participate in to partner with GHS. And just to highlight a few of those, our open house, our parent workshops, parent-teacher conferences, as well as parent visits when our schools are open. But we know that due to the COVID pandemic, those parent visits are limited and not happening at this time just out of safety. It also outlines our communication methods, which includes, again, our open house, our progress reports, and our report cards. We're always updating our school website as well as our social media platforms. We also encourage our families to utilize the Infinite Campus Parent Portal. If you do not have a parent portal set up and you need assistance, you can always reach out to myself or your scholars counselor, and we can assist you with that. At this time, Ms. Davis is going to discuss how we utilize our data to determine goals 1 and 2, and then I will discuss how we utilize our data to develop goal 3. Ms. Davis.
Good afternoon. I'm Ms. Davis. I'm the Assistant Principal of Curriculum and Instruction. And as Ms. Elam has shared with you, I will share different sources of data that we use to come up with our goals that are set for the entire school year, utilizing our school improvement plan. And the first goal, we looked at our CCRPI data, And CCRPI is that College and Career Ready Performance Index. It is a comprehensive school improvement, accountability, and communication platform. And what it really does is promote college and career readiness for our students. So it lets us know, are our students college and career ready for the real world? And so within doing that, looking at the data, we're looking at our EOCs here for the school year 2018-2019. The 2019-2020 school data we do not have, and that's due to the COVID came about. We were able, because the school is on a 4x4 block, we were able to give the assessment for first semester, but the state counts the data for the entire year. And so we were not able to give the second half of the end of course assessments due to COVID and closing of schools in March. And so we're looking at the school year 2018-2019. As you can see, there are 8 or 9 different assessments that were given. And so upon looking at this data, you can clearly see the deficits that we have, meaning these students, when they took this assessment, if it was in red, example, Algebra 1, the EOCs that were given in Algebra 1, 68.6% of our students did not master the content, meaning they did not master or retain that information. So we know for a fact that math, if you look at math and geometry combined together, 57.3% of our students in geometry did not master the data that was delivered to them at that point in time. If you look at 9th grade lit, we had 27.6% of our students in the beginning level. In American Lit, we had 40% of our students in the beginning level. And from looking at that data and having conversations with the teachers, sharing this data with some of the parents, pushing that information out to the community and talking to students, we knew that one of the areas that we needed to focus on was ELA in mathematics. So our first goal that we came up with, and this is the goal that we are working on for this school year, is to increase ELA content mastery in the math CCRPI content mastery by 3 percentage points. And if you look at trend data, trying to increase by 3 percentage points is a good margin. Of course, we want more than 3% percentage points to move. We want to move from beginning to proficient. That's where we want to be, to proficient and distinguished at all times. But that's how we came up with the first goal. Okay, let's look at the second goal 2 with the school climate. I will share this with you. With school climate, Griffin High School at a particular time, we were at a 4-star, but we dropped down to a 3-star. And one of the things that we do every year, we send out a survey to the parents and the student, and we ask several questions. And so one of those questions, when the school, the leadership team, teachers, and in the community and some of the parents start looking at this data, one of the questions that really stuck out was, teachers treat me with respect. And so when we started looking at that, and you can clearly see in 9th grade, students said 37.47% of our students strongly agree with that. Somewhat agreed, 43.91. We know that this is an area that we can control. But we know that we want to move the needle from somewhat agree to strongly agree. 10th grade, we only had 20% say that they strongly agree. 11th grade, we had only 44.21. In 12th grade, 40.10% of our students agreed that they strongly agree that teachers treat them with respect. And we started talking about, is this something that is within our control that we can change? And the answer is yes. This is something that we can control. We can move that needle from somewhat agree to somewhat disagree. We can move that needle to strongly agree. Now, how can we do that? We talked about that. And so we came up with our second goal, and that goal was GHS will implement teacher and student PBIS activities towards supporting a positive learning environment, encouraging open communication to increase the percentage of students by 6% who believe that teachers treat them with respect. And we talked about that in depth. PBIS is very important and a critical component within our school. We have that promotes open communication and building relationships. So we try to come up with different activities where teachers and students can bond together, build those relationships, in which in turn encourages that open communication. And so that is goal 2, the one that we increase. Ms. Elam.
Okay, and just looking at our data for goal 3, and let me just tell you that goal 3 was during the 2021 school year. Griffin High School will increase the number of parents participating in our school parent engagement events by 10%, and this will be based on our sign-in sheets. If we look back at our when we look back at our sign-in sheets and our summary of events for the 2019-2020 school year, we saw that in our meetings, we had about 13 parents total for the year. In our first meeting, which was our Title I meeting, we had 9 parents. And then in our workshops throughout the entire year, we only had a total of 38 parents. Please keep in mind that we have over 1,500 students, which equates to over 1,200 families. And so just to expect or want 10% would help us to get the voice or to achieve the voice of our school. And so we're working diligently and very hard to ensure that we're going to capture that voice. And that's why we're asking our families to partner with us and join with us when we're having our meetings and when we're having workshops, so that we are able to share information with them and they can also share information with us, especially like during our stakeholders meeting when we're asking for input. We're going to now review our current data, and this is to support the school goals of the 2021-2022 School Parent Compact. Ms. Davis is going to review this data with you, and then I'll come back and talk about our current parent engagement data.
Okay, before we review that data, let's talk about what we're going to look at. We're going to look at MAP data, and MAP is a universal screener that we utilize within the district to assess our students. We give this universal screener 3 times a year to 9th and 10th graders at the high school level. Now, MAP is not an assessment of a course. It simply is a way to know how your child thinks. It is a snapshot of where your child is in their overall current thinking in math and reading, okay? We will also talk about the RIT score. What it targets, it simply tells you the average score of most kids at a given point in time at a particular grade level. So when I say RIT, it simply is going to tell you where your child is with their thinking at a particular time and grade level. That RIT score measures the growth of your child in math and reading, because that is the assessment that we give to the students in 9th and 10th grade. As you can see, this is a growth chart. This is just a guideline to let you know. So if you should see when your child, if they're in the 9th or 10th grade and they come home or have a score, you can use this chart to kind of identify the thinking at the point in time of where your child is. As you can see here, it shows fall and spring, but at the Griffin Spalding School District, we give the assessment 3 times. So we do it fall, winter, fall, and spring. As you can see, the child, let's look at 9th, that they show 1 through 9th. So let's look at 9th grade. For reading, you see the child is at 222. And then in spring, they were at 224. In the year's growth, they had 2 points of year's growth. And so that's really good and pretty good. You want to see growth. You want to see your child start to think more critically of how to solve mathematical problems, or their processing of how to solve mathematical problems in their reading comprehension. Okay, let's look at the first current MAP data for 9th grade. I will share with you, because we are at this point in time, we all know that we are in the COVID mode, and we have over 395, almost 400 students in 9th grade. I want to say 495, but it's roughly 162 students to test in 9th grade. And that's due to COVID, because the kids are at home. And so when we give the assessment for MAP, they have an open window, a time frame. And so the students have to take that assessment within that time frame. And so we had 162 students to take that assessment. The mean RIT score, remember I said the mean RIT score simply gives you the average. It's the estimation of a student's instructional level and measure the student progress of growth. So the mean RIT that you're looking at 222.5, that's the average for the school. Let's compare that to the norm grade level mean RIT, which is at 228.7. That is, that means that's the average score for students in the same grade as a student across the country who took the MAP assessment for that content area. So the top is for our school, and the bottom is for all students who took this same assessment at the same grade level across the state of Georgia. And so as you can see, the state is at 228. We are at 222. So we are below. So if you look at the overall performance in math, we had 83 students who were low to low average. So the mean RIT average was 223. We can dig a little deeper. As I explained, when we looked at the map, the math information, it also gives the breakdown of the overall performance in the areas that they assess the students in. And as you can see, the goal area, I can't say it, statistics and probability, algebraic thinking, those 3 areas you can see that we will need to focus on moving forward, meaning that we have students who have deficits in these areas. Beyond just this surface data that you're looking at, you can also dig deeper. It also gives you the printout of students' names, and it also identifies exactly what areas you need to focus on with those particular students. Because we are on a 4x4 block, when we look at this data, we not only look at it, but we as teachers, leadership team, and the students, we identify those students. We have what is called IF, instructional focus, and we also now have asynchronous Fridays. That means the teachers have time to dig deeper and to work with the students on an individual basis during IF, as well as that asynchronous time. let's look at ninth grade ELA. As you can see, the students, it was 159 students that took the assessment. The average score was 212.3. For the norm grade level, meaning the average score for students across the country was 220. And again, we were below that average. And as you can see, we had low to low average. Let me tell you the number of the low to low average. (83) of the students were in the low to low average with ninth grade ELA reading. As you can see, again, it goes a little farther. If you look at that, it tells us that literature as well as informational text is an area that we need to focus on. But as I shared before, you can dig deeper, and we do that. We cannot show individual student scores and their names, but the teachers who teach those particular students look at that data and they utilize that during the IF and the asynchronous time to support those students. And we also utilize MAP assessment to identify students who probably may need more support through our multi-tier support system. But each individual student, we have discussions about what the needs are and how do we accommodate those needs for each individual student. If you look at the current MAP data, 10th grade math, as you can see, it was only 114 students who took it. The average in the building was 227.5. The average across the country was 231. So again, we are below average in looking at the mean score. If you look at the overall performance in the goal areas, you can clearly see that geometry was an area, and probability and statistics was two of the areas that we still continue to need to work on and dig deeper. That also applies in ninth grade as well. Ninth grade and 10th grade, those are the two critical areas. For 10th grade ELA, we had 134 students. The average was 220.6 for the school. And for the mean for across the state average, it was 222. Even though we're like 2 percentage points or 2 to 3 percentage points off, we're still below the state average across the country. And so if you look at low to low average, and if you look at students at or above the norm grade level, we only had 66 students out of 134. Again, if you look at the overall performance, you can see that literature still continues to be one of the areas, in informational text is an area that we still need to focus on.
Okay, and we're going to look at the current data for parent engagement. For this school year, we began looking at our data from the beginning of the school year to January the 14th. For our first meeting we had, which was our Title I meeting, we had 14 parents. And then we had 2 additional meetings, one in October and one in November. We had 6 parents in our October meeting and 3 parents in our November meeting. And again, we're trying our best, keeping in mind that we have over 1,500 students and over 1,200 families, to increase our parent engagement. There were some wonderful suggestions during our first AM session about taking our meetings outside of our building. And we know that because we're in the pandemic that it's, very difficult. And so we're having virtual meetings, but we're still wanting to do everything in our power to engage our families and to ask that they engage with us as well. Now we're going to review information on our school parent and family engagement policy, and just to make sure that you're aware of what our policy is. It describes how Griffin High School is going to provide opportunities to improve family engagement to support our student learning. And there are different parts of our policy that we want to highlight, including the parts that talk about our school parent compact. It also outlines this information and just reiterate the information that was shared in our individual school parent compact. It also talks about and addresses our annual Title I meeting, and this meeting is usually held at the very beginning of the school year in the month of August. It also outlines our communication methods, and it also makes sure that we're fully aware and our families are fully aware that we're going to be sharing information in formats that our families can understand. When we're looking at our coordination of services, this goes back to making sure when we're talking about the manner in which we're going to communicate, we have services in place, including translation, as well as the ability to translate documents to ensure that we are able to meet the diverse needs of our families and our students. When it comes to the reservation of funds, this discusses how we're going to be utilizing the Title I funds that we receive. Last year, we received over $5,000, and you will see when you begin doing the survey and providing feedback how those funds are used. And we're asking you again this year to give us feedback on how we should use the funds that we're going to receive next year. The building capacity of the school staff entails those staff trainings, and we're asking for input on the different types of trainings that the staff will receive throughout the year. We usually have about 4 staff trainings. And so we would like for you to give us input on what those trainings should be, so that we can provide the most reasonable support for our families, as well as engage with our families during the different activities that we have at our school. And then it also describes and talks about building capacity for engagement. And this is where we're talking about the trainings that the parents receive. Please keep in mind that during those trainings, we're always providing free resources that parents can take with them, as well as we provide opportunities for our parents to actually partner with us during these family engagement events. With building capacity for parents, again, we're talking about our trainings as well. We do have our Parent Resource Center, which is housed in our school, in our counselor's office. And the free resources that are available there are resources that we have to give to our families to share. Some of those resources are coming from the trainings, the workshops, and the meetings that we are having at our school. And so we want our families to know that when they are partnering with us or engaging with us, that we have resources to share with them. And these resources are there to help them when they're helping their students at home. It is our hope that all of the resources that we provide, whether it's resources on our milestone assessments, whether it's online resources, that those resources are very helpful to the families. And if we don't have the resources that you all need, please make sure that you reach out to myself, or even if you need resources from the district, you can get those resources free of charge. We can also mail those resources to you if need be. So it's not something that mandates that you have to come to the school. We're more than happy to share those resources with you. We have an abundance of resources on literacy, things from our public library. And again, like, as I said before, we can get any resources that you feel that you may need. We're going to be doing the survey on the parent and family engagement budget, and that has to do with the Title I funds that are going to be received, as well as those topics for building school staff capacity when partnering with our parents in the academic achievement of their children. So if you would please, utilizing the the sign-in sheet and feedback form that was shared, I'm going to share it again in the chat. Please utilize that form at this time and complete one. If you've not signed in, sign in on it and then complete the feedback portion. If you have any questions, you can turn your microphone on and ask those questions, or you can put your questions in the chat. Once you submit the document, please just say done in the chat, and then we'll move to the next slide and we'll start our just our discussion based upon the information that was shared.
Miss Elam, could you email it to me, please?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to email it to you right now.
Thank you.
Ms. Sweet, the form has been shared with you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Whitmore, if you would please complete the survey at this time. I'm going to be sharing the recorded video. So if you need to go back and review that before you submit it, that's fine with me, as long as you will just make sure that you submit the survey to us. Ms. Anderson, we will discuss that information later outside of this. I can have that conversation with you. Okay, we're going to move on. We have about 7 responses thus far. We'll move on and just start our discussion based upon the information that was shared. Is there anyone who has a question or a comment based upon the information that we've shared with you? And you can either put your question in the chat, or you can turn your microphones on and share that information with us. And I will share with you from this morning's discussion, there were several stakeholders who shared thinking outside of the box will help us to capture more families. Oftentimes, our families are not coming to us. And so in previous years, when we've gone outside of our school, we have captured more families. After discussion with Ms. Davis and myself earlier, it's our plan for next year that each meeting that we will have a different location that we will have our meetings in hopes of um, trying to partner with our families in a location of comfort. It's hopeful that our families will feel like, okay, I want to participate in this particular meeting. There are times that when we're having meetings, sometimes our families don't understand the purpose of those particular meetings. And keep in mind that the wording for our meetings comes from the state. So when we're doing our advertising, it's not something that Griffin High School itself just comes up with the wording. The wording is specific to the state. And so we have to use that specific wording when we are doing our advertisement. We do advertise in multiple ways. We share our information through Parent Link, and that is phone and email. And I know that many of you all are receiving those correspondence. We share our information through social media, and we have multiple platforms. We share our information on our school website, as well as through our newsletters that come that you will be receiving, whether it's online through the social media platforms or through paper copies, and those are sent out monthly. Who else would like to share some information with us? Or if you have a question.
Miss Elam,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Charmia Gaston. I have a 12th grader, and please forgive me for not turning my camera on.
That's fine.
Is there a way that our stakeholders, the compact meeting, can include our students in such a way that if the students come to the meeting, it forces the parent to come? I know it's a parent engagement meeting, but is there a way to get us to the meeting when we're in the buildings by way of our students, our children, outside of sports, outside of recitals, that type of thing?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Gasson, that's what we were talking about for our meetings, our upcoming meetings. We will utilize a platform. Let's just talk about literacy. We would have that meeting in possibly our public library, and that will be our poetry night. And that will help us to, or give our students an opportunity to share their poetry or to say a poem. And then, of course, the parents are going to be there or want to come because they are going to want to see their student participating in different events. And so that's what we're going to work towards for upcoming meetings, as to try to get our parents and our students more involved in our meetings, and possibly allowing some of our students to lead some of these meetings as well, I think will be helpful. In previous years, I've had a student representative that I work with closely. And so maybe moving back to having an actual parent engagement student representative would be helpful to get students involved and engaged in helping to engage their families as well. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Is there someone else who would like to share or have a question to ask? And we're taking suggestions as well. Just like Ms. Gaston gave us that suggestion, we welcome all suggestions of things that you can think of. I will tell you that the district itself has events, and the consensus across the district is basically the same. Everyone is working to try to increase our parent engagement from the districts to our other schools, from elementary, middle, and high school. So I know that on the elementary level, they will get the parents because the parents have to bring the children. But there are times when our other schools are actually having some of the same issues with engaging our families as well. And this is another opportunity for you to ask questions. If there are no questions, I would like to say thank you to each of you for participating in our stakeholders meeting. If you have any questions for myself, you're more than welcome to email me via my school email, which is on the screen, or you may call me at the school. Although we're not back just yet, we will be back on February 22nd. But if you call and you leave a message, those messages will populate to my email and I will call you back. Also, please remember to visit our school website and our social media platforms for information, as this information is updated on a regular basis. If there are no more questions and comments, I would like to adjourn this meeting and say thank you.
Okay, everyone, have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for the information.